Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 8, The Sanctuary is over, but we're just getting started here tonight on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews, joined by two great co-hosts here to help break this episode down as we are in the final couple episodes here of this third season. We got Michael Chan. How are you doing tonight, Michael?
Good. Feeling good. Really happy.
And we also and we also have Adam Woodward. How you doing, Adam?
I'm excellent, thanks. Nice to see you guys.
We formed a sanctuary here with the three of us to break this episode down, and continue the plot here. But there's a lot to talk about. There's kind of big two plots, I guess. The Georgiou ongoing development story, whatever's going on with her, and this whole other more development with Book and going to his home planet of Kwaijan and being with his family here and the home planet. And I guess there was also this Adira Tal storyline as well. So a couple things to break down. So how are you guys feeling about this episode? Michael?
Me? I loved it. It was one of those episodes where it continued the trend that I've been mentioning every single episode now, which is they push the story forward and, they're trying to tie up or at least progress a lot of the threads that they have started throughout the season. This one was particularly, I felt, info heavy, which is, I didn't mind at all. I could follow everything, but I felt really satisfied with pretty much everything that happened today.
Okay, and I'm with you for the most part. I think I have some nitpicks tonight. I'm going to tell you, but Adam, how you said you said before we went on the air you were feeling pretty good. So can you expand on that?
I think it was a great episode. I was happy to see Jonathan Frakes directing right out of the gate. That was
right,
nice.
Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah. Look, I just think every episode is quite funny because now you've got the Admiral Vance. He's not even questioning. Hey, we want to go here. Okay, go, but come back.
He's like, no. They're like, but if we go, a lot of good things will happen. He's like, okay, but if you get any trouble out there, you get out the way. You do not mess around.
He's like a parent now, Tilly's settling into her new role.
Yes.
Detmer was great tonight. I think that you saw there was a little. I think things tied up this episode that we've been going through for the last couple. Again, it doesn't disappoint in how this show looks at all. The battles are great. The Orion Osiris. Is that
Osiris, yes. This Emerald Chain storyline that I guess is so they're not the Orion Syndicate anymore. They're the Emerald Chain, and we've met them before here, or at least this guy we met before who got fed to the worm by his aunt. Right? Was that what happened here?
Yeah. The trans worms,
yeah, which are really nice if you treat them mean, they will eat you and they'll eat your nephews. Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what you want to nitpick on this.
Well, we were just talking. Michael and I were talking before about a little bit about how they throw a lot of information at you in these episodes, and there's a lot to follow, and maybe there'd be something to be said for a bit of a slower pace, in terms of how much happened. You got to come in here tonight, and so in a lot of ways we have a lot to talk about, which is a good thing, I think, too. But maybe there's something to be said for a less is more approach too. And I in terms of my own personal opinion, I don't know, Michael, if you feel about this, but there's this kind of this ongoing story throughout the season, or there's a few ongoing stories. I guess this Georgiou one is one of them, and I don't know if I'm necessarily loving this storyline with where it's going.
I'm not loving it either. I'm not loving that.
What, the Georgiou story?
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm still curious. For me,
I'm curious, but they're dragging it on. Like everything in this series, this season is being tied up really quickly, but this one isn't.
Well, where is it going? I don't even understand.
But that's the thing. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I don't mind that it's taken this long, personally, as long as it gets tied up by the end of the season.
I'm all for a mystery, but you gotta give me like a reason to be interested. And I guess because I haven't fully embraced this character yet. It's maybe my hang up, personally, but it's because I don't know how to empathize with this Terran emperor who was maybe not such a good past, but maybe is a redeemable character. I guess is that that's what they've been trying to get to us all season. And now I got this whole thing tonight. So
I just assumed there's something way bigger going on, somehow linked to whatever on Earth is going on with the Federation. Maybe
I need David Cronenberg back. If they give me David Cronenberg, maybe this whole storyline will become way more interesting again. But he was only in that one scene, and it
was supposed to be a cameo, right?
I know it was just a teaser. We need more.
We need more. Like, come on, you got to bring him in to fly him up to Toronto to do all this. You were just getting one scene. Come on.
He is Canadian, so I don't think it's hard for him to get here.
Well, I guess that's true. But yeah, we had a lot of so Georgiou and Culber and Michael Burnham start this episode off tonight. In a sequence of them sort of getting added to this conversation because Michael Burnham is the closest thing that Georgiou has to a friend, really, or anybody, or any kind of close, anything even close to family, even, if you will. And Culber keeps trying to help. She also tells Culber about how, in the Terran universe, in the Mirror universe, all the doctors get buried with the emperors, so that they have motivation to keep their emperor alive, which I thought was funny. But they need to do this in order to even have a chance for me. But they have this banter here, but I'm like, okay, but I don't understand what's going on in these quick flashes I'm getting in the vision from Georgiou's whatever it is, flashbacks or flash sideways. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Something's definitely traumatic has happened in the Terran universe that did bother her, because she seems so cool and collected all the time and just mean. But there's something very, very meaningful to her, but also very disturbing to her that she keeps flashing back to. So, a couple episodes again, we were talking about, she said, we didn't get a name, but she clearly said something, right? So, we haven't just connected that dot yet. So Michael, now that I'm thinking about that, I still want to know really what that was about. So we have to, you're right, we have to end this. We only have 2 episodes to go.
Yeah, she was in they had her tonight in the suit, this white suit, which was something to do with the medical experiments or whatever they were doing.
She is very small, eh? Holy.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. It was there was something like a name that was said by her, but it happens so fast, and even if you're watching with closed captions, it's kind of really hard to follow it. So that's my nitpick. But we also had this storyline tonight with these two. So the book was pretty featured tonight, and we saw that Book's brother. Sorry, I can't remember the name right now, but Osira, was that it? No, that was the Emerald one. I don't have.
This is called Book's brother. There we go.
Book's brother. He was here. They're not they grew up together. They hadn't seen each other in 15 years. And I get the distinct impression they're not human, right? They are some other species.
That's the assumption I have.
They're but his name is Cleveland Booker, which feels like a human name, but maybe that's just.
Didn't he say that he was changed? Because his brother called him something else. He says, "I'm not him anymore." So clearly,
so he had an other name.
Yeah, his brother called him by something else, and Book was like, "No, I'm Cleveland."
Oh, it was Terax.
There you go. So I'm assuming he took on a human name or a human sounding name.
Because I see. Okay, so he kind of rejected because he talked about how he came from a family of poachers and killers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Originally, but he sort of broke away from that and joined with this other people. So anyway, so this was a big part of the storyline tonight. We talked about how they went to the Admiral and said, well, first he goes to Michael Burnham, and for a second they're like, maybe we'll run off together and I'll break orders again. But she's like, maybe we should actually take it to the captain and the Admiral. And guess what? It works. So maybe she's starting to like figure out that she doesn't have to.
Grew.
But I was like, Michael Burnham's got a Michael Burnham here, and she's gonna run off. But no, she doesn't.
And just want to be further demoted, to an ensign or something.
Yeah, you're going down to lieutenant commander at least here, Michael Burnham. So it's but no,
or janitor, silver suit janitor.
All right, we get some scenes here with the Orion Stelco with the emerald chain. We talked about already, that she fed her nephew to the worm, and that was all before the opening credits. And then Tilly in gold. Tilly is the first officer. I thought good. Really, she did. They gave her a couple scenes tonight. She was really strong in all of them, I thought.
That opening scene where her and Saru were walking down the hallway and she's briefing him on everything, and the comment, "What about that other matter?" And what's this about? And it's about him trying to find a catchphrase when he goes into warp. I love it. That was a great little scene.
So, I loved it. One of the best things.
What would you? Okay, yeah, Saru was kind of like, he's kind of like he's kind of got like the dad joke, right? He's like, okay, I'm going to say something cool when we go to warp or to black alert or whatever. Isn't it enough just to say black alert? But
cool.
But anyway, he just goes, hit it. It was what he said he was going to say at first, but then it doesn't quite. He said, execute. I didn't like execute. No, they were almost doing that.
That was the funniest scene.
The reactions.
Yeah, it was good.
Mocking at the end. Are we gonna execute? At the end.
In Star Trek Lower Decks this season, like Captain Freeman there, she was trying to figure out what her catchphrase was. She was like, go warp time or whatever it was going to be. There was every a captain, I guess, has that. Maybe Deep Space Nine a little less so, but
did Captain Kirk have one? I was trying to figure that out tonight.
He was more like he's more beam me up Scotty, or like because I don't really ever think I don't think of Kirk having that kind of iconic phrase as in like his chair, Anyway, sorry. Yeah, Tilly was in gold. I thought she was really strong.
Let's see what's out there. That away. Captain Kirk.
That away. They were figuring out that the where the burn started. So they're continuing this like ongoing storyline of this season, which is they're going to solve the burn. Like the burn was 120 years ago, but they kind of want to figure out why it happened, how it started, and it was in this nebula. And they also find out that it has something to do with some kind of distress call. But this didn't have to do with the planet we went to, Qui-Jen, right? This was just they were just updating us. Is that what was happening here?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
See, and this is maybe the other thing. I'm like, okay, why is this part of tonight's story? But it's not. It's part of this bigger story. And so I guess, am I like totally satisfied with them trying to tell me this longer story in these episodic versions? And maybe not fully, but given the alternative, I would rather have this because, in the past, I think that maybe what the show has tried to do is like, what the next episode picks up where the last one left off. This has been more like these stories are self-contained, and
I feel like the stuff with the burn, though, while yes, connecting it to the rest of the season was more of a device to get us to Stamets and Adira. That's that bit. story.
True, and you're right. And so we haven't really talked about their story yet. So I think we should, and we definitely should,
because she has to do the algorithm, right? So that's why they use the burn, and that's how I felt, that they used this story element that connects it to everything else smartly to then allow it for her to do, to have that whole thing with the algorithm she has to do, which then brings us to Stamets and her, right?
Yeah, I was like yeah, you're completely correct. Yeah, that's a good point, because I was like, why did we get to them tonight? But then, yeah, so there was, Adira, comes out because Stamets uses the female pronouns, and Adira says, I identify as they them, and Stamets is like, all good. So it's a big moment. They didn't do this in the introduction of the character. I think they waited until we got to know them a bit more, and they progressed the storyline, and then did it here, which I think was the right thing to do overall. I think that maybe trying to rush it all into the debut of the character would have been maybe too much, perhaps. Any thoughts?
Did you read up about them, the actors or actor? Apparently, when they started the show, they were still using female pronouns, but then as they were filming, they kind of sorted themselves out, and then the writers felt, well, you know what, this is great. Like, let's bring this to the show and make it meaningful, not only like to the community, but for you as someone, as part of the family of our show. We're going to do this for you, which then kind of worked. I mean, it works for what they are, right? The character wise.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that this was something that happened during the filming of the show. So that's,
yeah. But it played in, I felt at least it played right. It worked in the context of the show. And, I think it was really nice of them to do this for them.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just saying, they're young, they're figuring themselves out, like, it's nice to do that for them.
Sorry, I was just like, what are your thoughts on the whole the Adira character development in general tonight?
I like the relationship between Stamos and her. I think trying to decide whether it's brotherly or fatherly or whatever it is, but regardless, it's nice to watch. They have something, definitely a connection between the two of them. I really enjoyed the cello piano duet. I think he's an interesting character. He doesn't have much to do now this year. I mean, he was very, very busy in the first 2 seasons, right? But now all he's got is this relationship with her, they, and Hugh, and right. But it's a good one. It's totally believable. There's a real caring between the two of them, and they're growing, I think, together. And I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bit of a family dynamic here between Culber and Stamets and Adira. There's a talking about just the way that they were talking, way Stamets and Culber were talking about Adira. It's almost like like a child, or like some a surrogate of sorts, a ward perhaps. So
I don't feel like Hugh has the same connection. He's more in thinking that Stamos has the it's sort of cute, I mean, I'm glad you're in this with her, or sorry, they again did it wrong. But I don't think he's got that same connection. He's happy about it, but he's not as engaged as
Didn't he also say during one of the scenes with Georgiou that he chose not to have kids?
Who was that?
Hugh.
Hugh did? Okay.
There was a whole string of dialogue, and it was a little fast for me. I'm gonna have to rewatch. I think he did mention something about kids.
Yeah, there was because there was, in the banter with Georgiou, that was very quick and very witty, and almost like, I'm like, sometimes you guys can slow it down just a bit more in some of these scenes, some of these episodes. That's all. But it was good. I thought, I think that, Adam, you're right, or you could easily look at it in the same way you are, like that it's really more between Stamets and Adira than it is between the three of them. And that's just how I took it on the initial viewing. And then they were playing the music together. The development tonight with Gray. Gray is not talking to them. What do we make of this?
Makes sense. I think it's essentially trauma, right?
Yeah.
It's a manifestation of, it's like a defense mechanism mentally.
And don't you think she's replacing Gray now too?
Yes, you're right.
With a real person. I mean,
okay, and that's fine, and I'm happy then. But I think that there would have been more closure with Gray, perhaps, and we didn't get that.
You might not be over it.
Like it's only like been 3 episodes since all that happened, where like Adira was accepted by the tall symbiote, and then Gray like hung around for 1 episode making some jokes, as the invisible friend or the Jiminy Cricket.
He could come back. I mean, it could be not over. I think you're right. We do need some closure. It could be, a 30-second part and get it done. Just to wrap that up. And that could easily happen next week.
Yeah.
I guess it's just, I feel this makes sense though. I mean, as she has a family and a network and people in the real world, for a support system essentially building up around her. She doesn't need to rely on this part of her, or them, sorry. They don't need to rely on that part of them as much anymore. So, Gray's going to fade. I'm sure Adam's right though. I mean, we're probably going to get some kind of 30-second scene somewhere, probably next episode, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah. Like, I don't think we've seen the last of Gray, but so
you can almost see that episode too. It's going to be like, it's okay, you don't need me anymore. You've got your new family, and that's that. So,
right. Actually, I just had a thought with the interconnected music thing going on with the burn. That may be when Gray pops back in, because Gray plays the song, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, what was the interconnect? Okay, I didn't understand. I'm glad you brought this up, because they were like, no, in the burn, it's in this nebula, and there was music, and it was the same music that they were listening to at the Barzan thing.
Okay, so it made sense to me. So the burn emanated from a source, right? And then exploded outwards. And what we're seeing now is that a lot of people from all over the place seem to have this frequency or this music somehow influence them. So, people sing it, people play it, right? So it's just the influence of the burn. But they were able to then take that information, that song, that frequency, and Saru, obviously with his different hearing, could hear something else. So they kind of started narrowing in, like closer and closer, until they isolated what it was, and then realized that the frequency is coming from a distress signal from a ship. But that whatever the distortion of that signal from the burn itself, had a musical effect to it, which spread everywhere.
Okay, but it's not all along the watchtower by Jaemeel.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this is Cylon.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, and so we'll see if, like, ultimately we're gonna find out. I think we'll get some kind of like answer to the burn by the end of the season,
yes.
And we'll see if this was all satisfying and if it was all worth it. And okay, I'm glad we got that, in retrospect. But for the moment, it's a bit confusing.
My prediction is next episode they're going to go to that ship.
Oh, I would imagine. What else do they got? What, they got something better to do? We'll see. But no, yeah, they that would be the best place to go in terms of finding out what it's about. What if? Okay, this is the only thing I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that they're going to find out that it was us. It was Discovery that caused the burn.
Oh God, please not that ending. That's like as bad as the dream.
That's not what or it was all, if we had never come to the future, then this would have happened, and then books all matter or something. It's not, or he's disappointed. No, please no. I hope that's not the case.
How about what do you guys think of the Orion?
Osiris, the leader of the Emerald Chain or whatever.
Sarah,
Well, they built her up pretty good tonight. I thought, like, okay, what's his name? As Ren, like her kind of peon that she cut off his antennae and doesn't he's her reek, if you will, to her if you're a Game of Thrones fan, to the Ramsay Bolton. And like she gets a lot of hype, but I wasn't really, so I was, she was burning down forests, I guess.
very Star Warsy.
Very Star Warsy, but in terms of the fight tonight, like with Detmer flying around, kind of circles around her, and Discovery never just seemed to be really in danger at all. Like I wasn't really too. I think her performance was good. I think she was evil. She fed her nephew to a worm, but come on, anybody can feed their nephew to a worm. It's I need to see some like some threat, some stakes from this villain.
So I already called it that she wouldn't show up, but which is I'm happy about. I think what this is she has big, powerful ship. She underestimates them, but the next time we see her, then we're going to see what she's capable of.
Yeah, like I get she's just evil, right? She's like
but she has something behind her, right? I think this is an interesting way of introducing her because she underestimates the Discovery and its crew, and however, this episode makes us as an audience underestimate her, so that by the time we see what she has for realsies, it's going to be a shock.
Yeah, and also just the way she looks too. I mean, she's a very attractive woman. And last week when they introduced my aunt's in charge. What do you think? It wasn't probably that.
An older woman, probably. Yeah.
And even when they said, the light was coming from the front, you saw her hair from the back, and then they whip around, and you see her face. She doesn't look so bad. And yeah, you're right, Dave. She didn't really do anything horrible tonight.
Okay, but did you know that Osira is played by Janet Kidder, whose aunt is Margot Kidder, Lois Lane?
No way.
Wow.
There's a connection there to
wow.
From Cranbrook, BC, if you will.
But yes. I know that what they did build up with her and with her Andorian, I forgot his name already, and all of this tonight, right. I noticed it's just running through the entire episode is a statement of what everyone seems to think the Federation is. At which point, that brings back the question we've been asking week after week: what on earth is the Federation right now?
She has a line tonight. She says that the Federation has more blood on mess and blood on its hands than anything, right? So we keep hearing this. We hear Ren talked about the fact that the Federation is sort of like a boogeyman kind of story for young Andorians, right? Because the Andorians were one of the founding members of the Federation, but that was 950 years ago, and they've clearly fallen out of the Federation for some time. And what don't we know is, should we be more suspicious of Mr. Admiral Vance? Or I like Admiral Vance. I hope he's not some kind of villain long term, but maybe that's
unless Cronenberg's the real villain.
Oh, maybe. We never really got the whole story there, right? So
no. I still I hope he comes back. I just have a feeling that was like a cameo plot device. I heard symbolic plot device.
The Discovery drinking game, I'm told, is every time the crew says we are going to tell them who we are, you have to take a drink, and that's how you get drunk on Discovery season 3. But that's okay. So we see there's this whole plot tonight where Book, by the end of the episode, he's like, I'm in, man. I want to join up with Starfleet. I'm joining the crew. I believe in the Federation. I'm good. We can help my planet, but all these planets, because Book, if anything, is I a humanitarian, like wants to sort of help people life. He's a good dude. So is this going to be the tragedy that we're headed towards, or is this more? No, it's more that these people just don't trust the Federation because they've been told lies.
I think if there is lies, and if there is sort of a, if Vance is up to something, up to no good, Discovery will correct that. I think that there'll be some kind of the idealism of Star Trek will bring the whole idea that that everybody will want to fall in line with the way it should be and was, versus the way it is, or maybe is. I'm not sure.
I kind of have this theory that the cliffhanger for this season will be that the Federation is bad, and season 4 will be the fix the Federation season.
What? Is this like a Terran universe? Like,
no, I don't think it's Terran. I just think there's something wrong with the Federation. Oh, you think they're in a different universe?
Adam, do you think they're in a different universe?
I'm just postulating. Maybe.
Oh, that could be. That would explain the other book in that you guys talk about in Short Treks.
I don't think. Okay, and I looked this up. The guy from that Short Trek, that's not the same person or actor, right?
I watched it last weekend. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Guy.
It's not the character.
It's not even the same character at all, right?
The one that you guys talked about dancing in Discovery?
Yes.
Oh, because I still haven't watched. So
we thought, oh, was that the same character? But it's not.
Hold on, I'm gonna take I was kind of tired.
Not the same actor, not the same character. Maybe there's a slight resemblance.
It's the same guy. I'm sure of that.
You sure of it?
Hold on, I'm gonna look right now. No,
anyway, it's not right.
Yeah.
So, but we keep trying to figure out where that fits in to the whole storyline. That's the one thing that's still not.
That guy's name is Kraft.
He was Kraft. I think it was just like their names and.
Oh my god, that's genius! His name was Kraft.
Yeah.
With a C.
Oh my god, that's cool.
Why?
Just where they're going with this naming convention. Is there any relation to the book or none?
No, we don't think so.
Oh, never mind. If there's zero relation, then there's no.
Yeah, we'll see where I don't think it's an alternate universe. I think that there's a possibility that the Federation is a bit more corrupt than maybe Discovery, who is the crew of the Discovery, who is very idealistic, clearly would believe. But however, the Federation was not really that on the up and up in their own time that they come from. Like there was Section 31, there was a lot of nefarious sort of forces. Probably worse than from the time that this little pocket Federation is dealing with now. So I don't know. We'll see where they're going with it, but it could just be a matter of like, no, misinformation leads to mistrust, that leads to hate, that leads to, it's bringing people back together. You have to dispel those kinds of like prejudices, if you will. Okay, so. I touched on a little bit. Detmer, they say like, well, the Admiral told us not to get involved and to get the hell out of here if anything went on. But hey, Michael Burnham's on the planet, and Starfleet rules say you don't leave anybody behind. And then Starfleet rules also say we can't let them commit atrocities. And then Tilly says, and also if our pilot, ran off with the ship and we disciplined her later. Then maybe that would be okay too. They're like, yeah. So Detmer goes off. So Detmer's going to get instead of a citation, she'll get actually a demerit against her record.
But she's now healed. She's I think this is the episode where she is now confident again and back in charge.
That made me very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy for her. I don't really understand what was wrong, and why this solved it, but I'm glad it did.
You're cranky tonight, Dave.
I'm not cranky. I'm just saying, like, I was like, hey, Detmer, like, I thought maybe we had resolved that storyline with the dinner, but no.
No, that wouldn't have resolved. I never thought it was resolved. I just needed to see an actual display of her ability being, and this is what we got.
Like when she basically turned the ship off of autopilot and made it manual, that was it. There's the moment. And you know, and you've got the Andorian Rin holding the cat. It was a great scene. It was
What's going on with their whole dynamic in that scene? I wasn't fully into all of it, like, you know, because she's like, I need you, you're my co-pilot, and they're like talking about how much they believe in each other. They met each other like 10 seconds ago, right? Like, have they dealt with each other before, these two? Ren and
previously, but I assume because the Andorian had his antennae cut off, the symbolic nature of that means that he's now like her, right? Broken, and also lost his confidence, lost his swag. So these two broken characters basically bonded and helped each other gain each other's swag back.
You know what? I don't even know if I disliked it. Maybe it was just the way it was something about the scene didn't. Maybe it was just the way it was shot. I have to go back and figure out because when I think about it, sort of like like with my head and intellectually, I'm like, there's nothing really wrong with it, but it was just sort of the feeling of it didn't really sell to me emotionally. Like maybe it was not enough eye contact with the actors, and then the cat got involved, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I get this cat in here every time. So, and I like cats.
She still has to fly to things, so her eyes mostly have to be forward. May I say that dogfight was pretty cool. Very Star Wars-esque, but very cool. Booker's ship is amazing.
Yeah. The modern era of Star Trek space fights is getting pretty cool. It's more advanced than it's ever been. And, you know, like other than maybe some of the movies, which did spend the money on the special effects, the space battles. TV shows have sort of had limitations. Deep Space Nine, I think, maybe the best of all of that, but now we're getting like this super fast, super CGI driven space battles, which have, I think, their pros and cons, but overall, it's definitely meant to be more of this like fast paced, energetic universe, I guess, space battles. But Michael, you enjoy it?
I love it. I like that's the way it should be, especially now. It's like so far in the future. If their ships were slow and clunky, I would be disappointed.
I get it. Yeah, for sure.
I like your theory, Michael. Everybody's working from home is doing better work.
Yeah. Their CG artists are just sitting there at home like, I can work anytime I want, so I feel great. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Right, and like we were just on the CG tonight, like there was the planet itself, right? And we sort of we had this whole this is one scene here. It had like a real nice look to it, like in these autumn colors and things like that. But they also had like these firefly things that were like flying around and were kind of cool.
Like, Avatar.
Yeah, very Pandora.
I thought that was I like just more of that. I think that just more as much as that they can get into Star Trek, because I think Star Trek really too is going to strange new worlds and seeing these amazing like planetscapes and like whatever you can imagine now you can kind of create in CG world, right? Budget permitting, in some limitations, but that's kind of what I want to see more of too. Is, and we are getting that this season. They're going to these different planets, these different sets, getting these different feels to the different their episodes. So more of that. I just gotta say I'm encouraging it. Anyway,
yeah,
Detmer.
Since the end of last season, when that final battle in space, the Enterprise and all that happening was fantastic. This season has looked so good, and it has not disappointed every episode. Like it's just, here we are, 8 in now, and not one slack off on anything. It was just great.
No, it was great episodes. I would like to rate this episode, let's because I'm gonna say this is probably not my favorite episode though. Like I'm gonna see where it ranks.
I already hit my low episode so far. I'm coming back now.
Okay, so this, as I mentioned, this episode was called The Sanctuary. I'm gonna give it like, it was about a 7.5 for me.
Oh,
so yeah, that's my lowest. Like, it was fine. It was, but it didn't necessarily wow me. Michael?
9.
9.
consistent,
Adam?
Mike.
The same.
I'm going with 9 as well. I really like that one.
Okay, and Jane or Jaemeel, if you're out there, feel free to pipe up and maybe bring up the average. So between the three of us, it's an 8.5. I was really high on some of these other episodes, maybe because there was just less big stuff this week. Like in Unification 3, we had like the Leonard Nimoy like footage, and then in Scavengers a couple weeks ago, we had a whole bunch of other big stuff happening. I can't remember specifically, but I just like there was more like, oh wow moments. And tonight was a little bit of a quieter episode, and like there was a couple little things I was like on. So it's good, but I don't think it stands up as my favorite of the season. That's all. I give Scavengers a 10. That's been amazing. Anyway, so we're going to be heading into the penultimate episode of the season next week. Any predictions of where we're going now? What's I don't know.
That's the next episode. They're going to
burn. They're going to that nebula. They're going to be singing the lullabies in the nebula.
We have to do like there's a lot of little things that have to be tied up here. We've got 2 episodes, and is the final episode a double? Do we know?
I don't believe so.
Okay, that's disappointing.
I don't know. My prediction is next episode's the burn / nebula, and then the final episode will deal with the Giorgio stuff.
Guys, we have 13 episodes.
What?
We do?
Yes, I didn't know that. Did you know? I didn't know. Who knew this?
How long? Because the episodes are just next week, and then it's the 24th, so they're going on a hiatus, right?
We are going into, let's see. Okay, so the air dates. Nope, the air dates are consistent, guys. So the final episode of the season, the 13th episode of the season, will air on January 7th.
What the? I have to do this on Christmas Eve?
There is a Christmas Eve episode. We don't have to do a podcast on Christmas Eve, but there will be a Discovery airing on Christmas Eve.
Okay. I might have to bow out for that one.
I think we can, yeah, but all the early the next morning though, Michael, because we'll be on for Christmas morning.
I'm just saying, I'm letting the audience know because I want to watch Christmas movies with my wife Jessica.
I do have something. I don't know if you guys want to know, but next week is the first of a 2-parter. I've told you. I hope you wanted to know.
You mean about the next? Oh, so the next 2 episodes are going to be a 2-parter.
Yeah, the next 2 episodes are a 2-parter. With the second, yeah. So, and then the following episode is a brand new story, which will be the Christmas Eve one. And guess what the other one is? New Year's Eve.
Oh dear.
So, oh wow. Okay, we gotta figure that one out.
It'll just get moved 2 days later.
Yeah, we'll do it later. So,
yeah, exactly. That's what I said. We got a Doctor Who. We got a Doctor Who Christmas episode.
Holiday specials will be coming at you. So, yeah. Well, hey, something. We're trying to compete with the Doctor Who specials.
Look at that user pick.
Okay. All right. So we're going to sign off here tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. We make sure to subscribe and tune in next week as we will be heading into the first of a 2-parter, which the title I will not spoil. We also have some other podcasts here on Live Long and Podcast, including Tuesday night Deep Space Nine rewatches, where we're watching every episode in a row or just through the second season. We just I don't know where we are, but you can catch us up there on Tuesday nights. Wednesday nights, we do original series rewatches, random episodes. We're going to be doing what's it called? The Perfect Computer next Wednesday, which is a second season episode. Thursday nights here with Deep Space on Star Trek Discovery, rather. And we also did Star Trek Lower Decks earlier this summer. And on the weekends, we do Star Trek Radio Theater. Saturday night, we're going to be doing Star Trek Deep Space Nine's second season finale, the Jem'Hadar. Michael, you're playing Jake Sisko for this one. I'm going to be playing Eris. This is where the Dominion made their debut into Star Trek, and Star Trek was never the same. So that's exciting. Also, in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing our season 1 finale of Star Trek Radio Theater. Oh, I got to get that logo down. Where we were doing Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, reenacting that entire film. So that's gonna be real fun on that evening. So lots of stuff going on here. We have our other channels, including Trivial Debates, where Adam Woodward just was competed in that. Check that out. Also with Jody Simpson and Chris Seymour, and Jaemeel was hosting. I was in the background producing. And we also have Super Mater Brothers podcasting, where Jeff, my brother, and I, we talk about, and Jaemeel, we talk about Survivor, Big Brother, and Westworld, and a bunch of other shows. So check out all our other content wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, or Spotify. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Adam, and the Christmas Miracle. We got 13 episodes instead of 10. So
nice. Great. It is good. That's good news. Now I don't feel like it's going to be rushed. We got a lot to solve, and these next episodes.
I'm so glad. Now we're like, how are they going to solve all this in 2 more episodes? It's not. It's not even.
We got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 5 more. Good.
6.
I'm surprised nobody in the audience is.
You're right. 5.
What are you guys talking about all these weeks?
No, well, I guess there's 4 left if you consider the 2-parter sort of one story, but it's not. They're airing on separate weeks, so it's not. So no, it's great. No, so we're gonna get way more of this crew. I think it's a smart thing. I think that increasing the episode to 13 is a good thing for them to do, because they need to develop these characters even more, as much as they can.
We need Jet Reno next week.
And we need Jet Reno. What's she doing? Is she just sleeping this whole season? Come on.
She jetted
out of here.